Let's give it a shot. Tuesday, Cincinnati got anywhere from 5 to 10 inches of snow. I went out and shoveled neighbors on both sides. Was a good boy today. Cookies have not arrived yet, but I'm not going to ask for them. But hopefully, I pretend I do it because I'm nice, but I'm actually in it for baked goods. Anyways, Super Bowl. So our next stop is spring weather, even though we got pounded with snow, but that's okay. Brian, good to have you on here. Actually, it's good to have you sitting there and not on the show. So, being that Tom Mabe is always stealing my stuff, if you look at the bottom, I'm proud to say this is episode 100 of Sober Talk. So it is now the Sober Talk Centennial Celebration. Without Tom Mabe or Brian Biggerstaff. So anyways, Joel, good to see you guys. Welcome. Hope everyone had a good weekend. It's Tuesday and coming live from the coal room, which actually some people have asked me why I keep saying the coal room. These older houses in the Midwest, they had a small blocked off room that was just for dumping coal in the window. And you would store it in this room and then open the door, shovel it into your furnace back in the early 1900s for heat. So this was an old coal room, and they would just, the chute is now a window, and they would dump the coal in. So even the door's got some old remnants on it. But welcome to Sober Talk. Good evening. You're here because you want to get sober. You need to get sober, or perhaps you're just sober curious. Whatever the reason, we're glad you're here. How do you know you have a drug or alcohol problem? Probably if you're watching the show, that's a good indication. But the answer is simple. If it causes problems, I was talking to someone recently, and they said they binge drink, but they don't drink all the time. And the best answer I'd heard about that is it's not how much you drink, it's what happens when you drink is kind of the indicator. So I think there's people out there that drink once a month, but when they drink, they go into a blackout rage. Well, that probably fits in the category of a drinking problem. So anyways, glad you're here. Couple of disclaimers real quick. I want we are not physicians. This is, we are just some schleps trying to stay sober with all of your help. If you are looking to quit drinking or drugs that you've been on for a while, strongly suggest you check with a medical professional. DT's withdrawal can be extremely dangerous, even life-threatening. Plus, it's not fun. I went through a rehab program myself, which made it a lot easier and much more enjoyable and safe. So if you're going through that, please consult with a physician. The other thing I want to start, someone mentioned Sober Talk private group. The Facebook private group page is a private forum. Only members of that can see what other people are posting. So that does not go out to public. This show is broadcast out. So if you want to put something in the chat, that will go public. So I just want people to be aware of that. Someone had asked, I don't think there's any issues or whatever, but I just want people to be aware of it. So we're glad you guys are here. I got a couple of guests that I want to get into. I heard on another program, actually it's that group TLC, the Luckiest Club, which is something that really helped me with my journey. It's another group run by a person, Laura McCowan, who just fantastic. But I still like to listen to those broadcasts. Just great stuff if people are looking for other stuff to check out. But someone was on today and just asking, I guess a therapist had asked this person, why do you drink? And, what do you get from drinking? Why can't you enjoy a situation, without feeling the need to add alcohol? You've heard me say I like to go boating a lot with the family, which is a great time. So why, when I get out on the boat, does my system say, gee, I really want a beer, which turns into 47 of them afterwards? I don't have answers for that, but it was just it was a good question that I don't know how I would answer. I'll probably throw that at some of the guests, but love to see in the chat what you guys are thinking. But why do you drink? Why do you feel you need to drink? Why is life so bad, even when you're having fun, that there is a need? So it'd be something to kind of dig in with herself. But I'm going to jump right into our first guest. Diana is here. Diana, where are you from? Where am I?
San Francisco.
Okay. I was a Sacramentan growing up in Sacramento, about an hour and a half from the Bay Area, and love that area. Are you right in the city?
California. I am in the city. I'm in Pacific Heights. Yep. I've been here about 20 years.
And you pay $33,000 a month for a studio apartment?
I am rent controlled, so I actually can afford to be here, but I cannot afford to move.
Oh God, it's crazy. I love Sacramento just being close to, we had Lake Tahoe in one direction, an hour and a half away, and the Bay Area another hour and a half away. So that was good.
Yeah.
So Diana, thank you so much for coming on. What's your story? What's your sobriety journey? How long? How many times? How'd you do it? All that good stuff.
I'm just over 400 days from booze, and I've also given up pain pills a little bit more recently, but I'm continuing my sober journey in that way. It was either I either was going to go mad or I had to give up booze. Literally, there was something in me. I think it was my spirit that just absolutely insisted. It was too much inner turmoil. I was literally going to check myself in somewhere. And then I finally broke down and got the help that I need. I don't know why we resist it. We know what we need to do and we just don't do it. So maybe, I guess it was December 30, 2019 was my last day drinking. There's a long story there.
Well, quick question, because alcohol, obviously you can get it right around the corner anywhere. It's legal. I had done years ago Adderall for a very short time, and within 2 months I realized, okay, I just took a month's supply in about 5 days, and I couldn't get more. So with the legality, was it? And you don't need to divulge secrets. I'm just curious: is it from the street, or how are people still getting? Because it's so regulated with the these and the Percocets and all those.
I have legitimate spine issues. I've always gone through a doctor. I mean, back in the day, you could order it online, and I did do that. But when regulations went into place, I did it through a doctor. And so I would put myself in the uncomfortable situations of going to the doctor over and over and telling them that I needed more. And the more that I took, the more it made it hurt. But that wasn't why I was taking it. I was taking it for the high. I'm not sure if I just froze.
Yeah, you did just a second, but yeah, I was the pain medicine. This is how the sickness works in me, from playing sports and football primarily. My body took some toll, and I've had knee surgery, shoulder surgeries. I was thrilled when I was going to have surgery.
Yeah,
I was, because you're going to get the Michael Jackson pre-surgery wonder stuff that lasts about 10
minutes. Yeah, exactly. But it's like heaven.
It is living. That's the best. But
yeah,
I was and then the pain meds. But
when you take them that long, I took them for 20 years. And when you take them that long, they stop working, and we keep taking them anyway, still always chasing that original high, right?
Yeah. Then just trying to go back to zero, to normal, or to the baseline.
Yeah, and I used to just toggle between booze and pills, and just kind of trying to like take in the pills in the morning and then the booze in the evening, and just wreaking havoc.
Yeah, it's sad that I was excited about that I was going to have surgery because I was going to get a prescription, and yeah, that's crazy. So what was your, did you make several attempts at this, or was this one time at 400 days ago and that was it? Was there any incident or I'm trying to say, that said, I'm done as of today?
It comes, it was, it comes on slowly. So I started literally going mad, and I knew I needed to do something. And so I got a therapist. My therapist started parroting back my own behavior to me, which really was appalling. and got me thinking about things a little bit differently. I actually broke up with my boyfriend thinking he was maybe the problem because drinking with him was an issue, and I couldn't have tried to go sober being in a relationship where I was with someone who drank like that. So I got rid of him, and then we're back together now. But and he gave up drinking also. But
same time as you, or was it a joint?
4 days behind me. I'm definitely the leader, but he needed it also. But so I went on a binge at Christmas, and then I went to my therapist, and it was actually walking out of my therapist's office. My therapist made me realize, she said to me, "You're suicidal, and there's a part of you that's trying to kill yourself." And I was like, no. Like, I don't mind if I die early because I drink. That's one thing, but I'm not trying to actively kill myself. And she made me realize there was a part of me, an unseen shadow part, that really was, with every sip, trying to hurt me. And once I knew that, I couldn't do it.
For it? Why? I mean, and again, you don't have to get personal with it, but you know, because that was, I brought this up at the beginning, and I heard this on another show. You know, why do you drink, or why do you drink? And
yeah, I wanted to talk about
the buzz. Well, wait a minute,
there's so much deeper, and that's where we got to get under to like make sobriety last, and to make it not be a torture, is to get into those deeper layers of investigating why is it that we're drinking. And when I really started looking, I was shaming myself for behavior that I had probably done while I was drinking, and I was thinking, I'm a bad person, I'm not worthy, it doesn't matter, and just I might as well just punish myself more. And if you start looking into the deeper layers of why we are trying to annihilate ourselves, why are we trying to obliterate ourselves, we're really trying to get away from the mind. And there's so many better ways. But but we have to look into that and uncover that, because then that's how we change. Not that we don't want to drink anymore. Now I don't even have a risk of drinking anymore, because there's no part of me that wants to go back to self-mutilation. And now that I recognize it as that, and I know that, it takes the desire away.
So Diana, just because I hear myself arguing with what you're saying with myself, because there's a part of me that's saying, wait a minute, okay, I know that, but what about the fun, the buzz? It's
not fun. It's not fun. It's fun temporarily, but if you think about the whole thing, and if we keep reminding ourselves of this, the whole scope of it, the hangovers, the withdrawals, once you stop drinking and you realize how deeply it was affecting your thinking and the negativity and so many things, it's not fun. We tell ourselves, this is the thing about booze and understanding, why do we keep going back when we know that it's painful? It has hijacked our brain systems. It has hijacked our dopamine release system. And we have societally conditioned ourselves to say that it's fun, and that it relaxes us, and that it, energizes us, and it makes us, push our boundaries in healthy ways. All of that is false. And so we have to undo all of this social conditioning that we have, and get our brain to be able to release dopamine from other sources. There's a lot that goes on when we have to so when we're fresh in sobriety, the work is reading this, understanding this, digging in, undoing all of these brain patterns, and then starting to re-pattern in a new way.
I've used the term mental muscle memory. You know what? Don't worry about it. It goes in and out, but I'll just entertain. Well, we're waiting for your signal to come back. No, but shooting a basketball, which I should probably pick a different thing, because if you saw me shoot, you'd understand that doesn't apply, Jeff. But muscle memory is, LeBron James is so good because he's done it a zillion times and he doesn't think about it. For me, I drank beer from the time I was 20 until, I'm 56 right now. Now I had a little bit of a stint where I didn't, but my whole life I have my brain associates a football game, going to a game or a sports game, drinking, going socializing, drinking, going to the movies, drinking, a concert, drinking, bad day, drinking. There's and I can't. That's not going to turn off in a week of not drinking. I haven't snapped a football in years, but I bet if I sat down right now, I'd come pretty close. It would be pretty, because I still have that muscle memory of doing of doing that because I did it for so long. The brain, you know, and that's a tough one. That's, you know, how do we do that? How do I do that in a week? I want to get that thing done and gone tomorrow.
There's no quick fix. That's the whole thing. We can't just take a pill and feel better. We have to actually put the work in. Our system is asking us to dig in and like heal our wounds, and nobody wants to. Everybody just wants to cover it up, but we have to do that. And if we want to heal, right? We all actually do want to heal. We just don't know how. And so you got to dig in, but you're right. It's not going to happen in a week. It's not going to, I mean, I'm a year plus in, and I'm very much in a much better, more stable place than I was a year ago, but I'm going to be healing the rest of my life. But I want to, I feel better. I like this work. It's painful, but it's so much better than the pain of
the pain goes down while the rewards go up. You know, that's what I'm seeing. And, you know, I don't know if you saw, but I had my 1 year this past weekend. Well, I about the weekend, but it really wasn't that bad. Now I had taken all the steps and prepped for it to hit the fan. Yep. And I was, but I really had a great weekend. I enjoyed myself. I had fun activities. I was amazed that I'm not, focused on just, you know, thinking about drinking. It's leaving my mind in bigger and bigger spurts of time, which is great.
Yep. And that's just key for like, usually the mind is so afraid, and we make fear-based decisions. And so we hold back from something because we don't know what the other side looks like. We don't know what it looks like to live a life without drinking. And so we'd rather just stay in misery because at least we know it. But that fear is usually unfounded. And usually when we get there and we actually like push past that and we experience it, we realize that we didn't really have anything to be afraid of. Right?
I dealt with anxiety for so long. I mean, crippling, but I also, even the part of me that wasn't the crippling panic attack, whatever you want to say, but the sobriety scared the hell out of me because I feared fearing fear. If that makes any sense to you, I was scared to death that I'm going to have to deal with being scared to death of things. So I wanted to, because if I drink, they go away. For temporarily, don't get me wrong. It numbs it. So I was scared to death of sobriety because I didn't want to feel the feels, or fear the fear. You know, I feared feeling the fears. There's all sorts of, you just live on your words, but if that makes any sense.
Fear drives us so much in this life. And once we can start realizing that and realize that it's mostly baseless and that we don't want to be making our decisions from fear, we want to be making them from a place of strength and bravery, then, and realizing that usually when we get there, that fear is unfounded. And that's huge. Like if we can really connect to that in ourselves and start to recognize it, and that's that mind chatter again, that ego mind is like always running scenarios about what could go wrong and this worry and that worry. And we can learn to like detach from that and not become it, and then make our decisions from a place of a clear mind.
Okay. So now the reason you're getting paid the high dollars to be on the show. Yeah. You and I both. So for the new person that's saying, hey, that makes sense, how do I do it? So how do we begin that process? How does that, because a lot of us don't have the resources or the access or the motivation to see a therapist. I don't know. The list goes on, but a lot of us are trying to do this themselves. What are the steps to start that ball rolling? Because I think success, but people are like, how do I take the first step? I don't know which way to go on this.
You just take one step. You don't try to solve the problem today. You don't try to by next week, I don't want to even want beer when I play football. Micro actions, baby steps, every day. We know our inner self, nobody needs to tell us. Our inner self knows what we need to do. We always are looking for resources to reassure us because we don't want to make that decision for ourselves, but we do. And so if we every day just make one of those decisions that we know is a good decision, and every day you do that, little by little, you move forward. That
you just nailed it. It's so true because I think of, jogging. If I jog 10 feet today, I'm not going to be able to run a marathon tomorrow. But if every day I jog another 10 feet, It's a
Yep.
small increment, and it's doable. To just jog 10 feet further than I did yesterday is probably, I can probably do it. And to add 10 feet tomorrow, small increments. Well, how long is that going to take? But eventually I'm going to run a marathon. So
yeah, eventually somewhere else.
And I'm not going to be able to run a marathon in a week's time. I can't, that's too big a step. That's not doable, realistic. I'll quit. I'll say the hell with it.
Set ourselves up for success. Set ourselves up for goals that we can achieve and then feel proud of, instead of always feeling like we're not doing enough. We're always shaming ourselves. We're keeping ourselves down. We're the ones making our own lives miserable. And we are the only ones who can stop doing that. But it's not going to happen all at once. So just little bits, and then be like, yeah, good job. I did good today. Like I ate lettuce today. Good job. I did
one thing. If I, one of these are the corny things that in Jeff's mind, but I go to, and I'll lie for the story and pretend that I eat fast food. Okay. Which we know is, completely not the case. But, instead of going and getting 2 double cheeseburgers, I put a note. In fact, they're laying around here somewhere. It just says half. Instead of, and my philosophy to myself is, you know what, Jeff, if you're still hungry, you can go back and get another one. But right now in the drive-thru, order half, and 9 out of 10 times, I'm fine. And I'm okay. And I'm not.
And don't you feel good about yourself for having done that? And then, then you set yourself up for a success. You've laid out something that you can then feel successful and proud about.
It is. It's small steps. And then, but ratting on myself is, it's still a chore to repeat it the next time, because, this time it's different. I'm starving. So
that's where you have to get diligent.
And that's where I have to work on it. But it's one of those, hey, you can come right back through if you're still hungry. You can come back and get 4 times. I'll give you, but just order half right now. It's a small, doable step. I'm still getting what I want. So I don't know. I don't know how.
Doing it even when you don't want. On those days when you're like, no, I'm really hungry, I really want to, be like, no, this is the rule that I set for myself. I'm going to get one. If I want another one, I'll go back. Like, don't be breaking our own code, because then we just feel a little bit of self-disgust. It's one more drop of like, we let ourselves down, not anyone else, but we let ourselves down. And so, but I treat my mind like a child anymore. It can fuss and it can flail, but we are going to do an exercise today. Like, I don't care if the entire time my mind is like, I don't feel like doing this, I want to do something else. Like, I'm doing this today. I don't allow myself in the moment to be like, I don't feel like it. Whereas I always used to just be like, I don't want to do it, so I'm not going to.
That's the beating up. You idiot, you pig. Yeah, way to go. Do you really need 3 Big Macs, Jeff? You loser. You buffoon. Damn it, I drank. Why did I, might as
well drink some more because I'm a loser.
Yeah, exactly. That's a massive point. I because I don't think, I don't even know you, Dinah, but I guarantee if I wouldn't call you a loser. I would say, hey, don't worry. But I'd call myself a complete worthless slug.
Yeah, and that's where we got to get to where we don't. Let's go where we got to get to where we're making choices that we're proud of and where we don't feel like a shit to ourselves. Not to.
Yeah. I feel like I need to be Al Franken right now on SNL just saying, gosh darn it, Jeff.
Anyone else dropped it.
Yeah. Just in the mirror. Gosh darn it, Jeff. I like you and you're but no, it's the small steps
technique
to go forward. So the other one that I wanted to run by you is just, I don't know if you heard me, but I'm a pressure cooker that doesn't have a relief valve.
What we were talking about.
Yeah. And I wanted to hear you said something. This is kind of one of the reasons I wanted to get you on here, because you hit something and I don't even remember what you said, but that's I think the difference between me and say my wife. She's got a built-in relief valve, and I'll take anything and I'll build it and keep adding fire to it and keep throwing more things into that pressure cooker. There's nothing, it's got to explode. So I've got to work on venting that. So what was
Well,
your?
we talked about that we need physical release. So this is not just a mental train of thought. The ego mind and its thinking trails is what gets us into this. We are not going to think our way out of this. We need to start expressing from the heart and the body. And all of these pent up emotions, when we got, just an example, we got raped. We didn't deal well with it. We shoved it in. We didn't want to think about it. That actually becomes a physical residue that we carry in our body. And it will just wait there for us. And so this could be like, I got an argument with someone today. It could be something really, really deep, like something from your past. All of these things have to be expressed physically. And so we talked about crying is one way. Yep. Like allowing ourselves to cry and express it physically. That's a release of that emotion, those pent up. And dance, exercise, creating these energy flow channels in our body. So taking all that emotion that we feel and letting it out as energy release in the form of movement.
You know, one of the things that you know, being a man, we are brainwashed, or we're groomed to tough guy, hold it in, don't show emotion. Are you crying? You don't cry. What are you? You're a man. Be a man. You're going to talk about your feelings? Get away from me, you sissy. You know, those are all releases that I'm cheating myself out of, and I'm as guilty as anyone of this, because you know I don't want to.
You told me the other day, and you're like, I cried. I feel like a sissy, and I was like, I'm so proud of you.
That was a secret.
So proud of you.
I think I told people when I saw my AA sponsor after 1 year, wasn't even expecting it, and I totally welled up. It was
beautiful.
Yeah, that caught me off guard. But I'm just saying that was a physical, that was actual energy that was coming out and relieving, and it's necessary, and we don't do it. I mean, I'm as guilty as anyone about that. You know, I hide in sports. Walk it off, tough it out. You know, you're okay. Just play through it. You know,
it is a societal issue, and that is the same thing with how we use booze societally. And so when we remove ourselves from that, we're sort of breaking that. But it's really important societal matters and reshape them, right? We don't have to continue doing that. We can recognize that that's not a healthy way to be, and that men also need to express emotion.
Yeah, it is. But there's ways that, you know, without getting here and crying, just talking to someone about, man, my day sucked. I wanted to kill my boss. I was so frustrated. You know what? I got, you know, just by talking, I'm releasing it. It is venting. And, you know, people go out and run 38 miles. Well, yeah, I'm kind of not in the mood. I'd rather sit in the couch, but I've got to release it. And it doesn't have to be, it can be journaling. It can be singing in the car. You know, I found times when, and my voice peels paint, so I only sing when the windows are up tight and the vents are closed and all that. And I drown myself out with the radio. But just to really, you get into some good music and singing, it's relaxing. It's releasing that energy that I bottle up all the time. So it's something I got to work on.
We all do.
Yeah. Hey, Diane, I'm going to let you go, but I cannot thank you enough. I'd love to have you back on, because you got a lot of wisdom, and we need to hear more. I need to hear more. So enjoy.
Anytime.
If I was to say, hey, enjoy some rice-a-roni tonight, would you just want to give me the finger right now and say that's
because I live on stuff like that. Food is one of the places I'm still really weak.
Maybe you have to be older to know that joke from rice-a-roni, San Francisco treat. Anyways, that was bad. Tom Mabe.
I eat crap all the time still. Okay.
So, all right. Hey, thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Okay? Have a great one. We'll see you. Diana from San Francisco. Wow. You know, it adds to, here's the thing for me. I'm getting a list of all the things I need to do. And great points. And that's why I love this show so much, because I hear the things I need to do. Now comes the fun part of, I got to do them. And that's where, that's where I'm starting with the man in the mirror, to quote Michael Jackson. Now it's my job. we can learn the tools, we can be told what to do, but there comes that point we got to do it ourselves. So that's where I got to step up. So Kathleen, Berkeley girl, I know that area real well. So I was actually at the Stanford the Cal Stanford game when they ran through the band at the very end of the game. My buddy and I were walking out, and I still have my ticket stub to prove it. So got another guest on. I wanted to bring in Elizabeth. Welcome to Sober Talk. How you doing?
I'm great, Jeff. How are you?
Good. Where are you now?
I am in Grapevine, Texas. So I am really smack dab between Dallas and Fort Worth.
So you're Central Time?
Yes.
So you're all messed up on everything.
every meeting I have to.
Or Eastern. We don't have to do calculations like you do to figure out what time and stuff
every meeting I go to, I have to figure out. And then for the first couple of weeks, actually, I would have them backwards, and I'd show up and there'd be nothing there. And I was like, I can't even get this right. I don't how is this difficult?
Yeah, it's I'll be either in the parking lot an hour early or an hour afterwards going, am I the only one here? It's talking to the janitor, closing up the place. So how long, what's your sobriety? What's your story?
My story, geez. Well, I am 43. I'm a single mom of 2 boys. Garrett will be 24 in October, and Brooks is 15. I am a sexual.
And you were able to quit drinking with that?
What?
And you were able to quit drinking with all of that?
In the middle of a pandemic with a teenager learning from home. I mean, I just, ballsy. So,
how long have you been sober?
It's been 250 out of 251 days. I did have a view. I went up to the observation deck mid-January, so day 26 since then. But prior to that, 7 months and some change.
Can I ask you about that? Are you okay?
Yeah,
because we've all been there, and this is what fascinates me. Because I had my Super Bowl relapse when I was at 90 days. And but what was your mindset? Here's the questions I'd like to ask you, and I will. So in fact, I'm doing it right now. What was your mindset? Why? What would you have done different? What could you have done different? What did you do wrong? All those I'm just curious, because this is how we learn, because something triggered you that day. I don't, whatever it is, something. And that's what scares the hell out of me about my sobriety.
Yeah. So, I, a little more of the background probably is, helps to sort of explain what happened. I am a sexual assault survivor from a pretty young age, and then happened again in my teenage years. I suffer from some generalized anxiety as a result of that, and I have some pretty complex bereavement issues from my father passed away when I was very young, and then my grandmother, who I was very intensely close to, died about 20 years ago on January 13th. And it was just, I don't know, it was the day I decided I have been drinking all of my adult life, and dangerously so for most of it. And that this year, for some reason, after I had done so well, I decided it was time to, talk to my mom about, who's been my drinking buddy, the biggest one. And I decided it was time for me to tell her this is my thing. I needed to do something about it. But in sort of the excitement and desire to do that, I also managed to trigger a hypomania episode for myself. I am on the edge of bipolar 2, as my doctor calls it, bipolar light, sort of like being Episcopalian is Catholic light. Mm-hmm. Not medicated, no requirement for that, but I ended up being in a tailspin by the end of that evening. And I mean, I honestly have very little recollection of doing it. But for the doing it, like when waking up and the, oh my God, I did it thing, that feeling. And it was just being overwhelmed, honestly. Lack of ability to fully regulate the emotions that all came at me at one time. And I've done some pretty big things in my life. And so to not be able to regulate like good things, tremendous successes, and even, I've survived 100% of the days that I've been here so far.
Mhm.
And I've seen some things in my life, been divorced 3 times. I have had 2 DUIs and even spent a month in Tent City in Arizona, just super fun. And for some reason, I have an inability, in the overwhelming times, I get so overwhelmed that just, spark plugs go everywhere. And
it hurts to hear you say that for a lot of reasons, but the one I was about myself is that just makes me, I had my relapse because I was bored and I deserved it. There was no trauma. Now, I love that you brought up trauma, because there's a lot of, Tom has been talking to some people about that, and something we're going to explore more on shows, but even things people don't realize is trauma, that like I look back in my life and I can't think of trauma, but there are buried, I'm sure, events or something that led to it that probably is a contributor to it. But, I listened to your story and I think, well, sure. I mean, who wouldn't think over that? You're justified. What took you so long? That's wrong, but that's how my mind wants to go. I was bored. My wife was out of town. It was the Super Bowl weekend. There's your trauma. That's why I chose to relapse,
But I can just tell you that, you're right. When I think back, there are 2 ways I could continuously think about my life. And one is, it's no wonder that I had a drinking problem. And it is no wonder what wonderment that I am alive. Like it's shocking sometimes when I think about the trouble I have put myself in, the places the sticky situations that drinking put me in, that it's a miracle that I'm here. So, I mean, sometimes I feel like, I had recognition. So, I mean, I started trying to get sober in 2014, and then ended up going through a very sudden divorce, and that went completely out the window, like just,
mm-hmm.
And I mean, not only out the window, but it was like it just was every which way but loose, basically. But I knew at that point I had already had that reckoning with myself, and I had talked with my best friend. I'd gotten completely blackout drunk, but talked to my best friend in that blackout drunkenness and was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I didn't know how to stop it.
You don't want to live, or you don't want to do the drinking?
I didn't want to do the drinking anymore, but I just was like, but I also didn't really know, because, I think we talked about the support of, in my area, at least, the AA community is very tiny. It's the same 3 old dudes telling the same stories. And, and also at the time, and the weird part about the anonymity part is that I don't really care. And so I never cared that much about it, but I also didn't want to see the guy that I'd just been having this meeting with, like at Tom Thumb. Like, they weren't my crowd. They weren't my people. And so that didn't end up lending any sense of community. So I felt like I had no resources to stop. And the anonymity I sought was about not telling, not talking with my parents about it openly, not being candid with my family, or many of my other friends who I had realized at that point, like, I'm going to lose probably 90% of the people I have anything to do with. So what does it look like on the other side? But again, I go back to having done some really tremendously difficult things in my life, moving when I was a small child, moving multiple times as a kid, things that I survived from my childhood. And at one day I just was like, I just have to do it. I just have to do it. And if that means that I'm going to do it by myself, well, I haven't broken these kids yet. I've done that by myself. I pay my own bills. I've gotten this job, like all the things. And I built myself up to a place where I was like, you just have to do it. And so that was June of pandemic, after there had been like 90 days of, again, it's a wonder that I'm alive when I think back about how bad it really got to, how much it escalated from 2014 to last summer.
It just, to be a single parent, and my kids are all empty nesters, but maybe it's accountability, but man, to think living on my own, how would I even survive? Because I think I'd be helpless. But having, it would be so easy to fail and so easy to drink. People that can do that, like yourself, God, it's amazing to me, the strength you have. And it when I hear these stories, it scares me a little because it shakes me in my self-confidence of, am I a strong person because I don't drink well, let's look behind the scenes. Oh, you're padlocked and chained to your bed. You can't go, it's the chain is keeping you from drinking. It has nothing to do with Jeff not drinking. That's what scares me. And I know that that's not the case, but I've got a lot of accountability, a lot of people, and I don't want to say negative enforcement, but that, hey, we're going to kick your butt if you do this, as well as the love support. You can do this. I got reinforcement on both sides. People that are doing this on their own, man, that's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I think once I realized it was something that I had to do, then I started looking for, and we were talking earlier before the show started about, I think, and I've said it before in meetings, I go to TLC meetings, which is how you and I ended up connecting. But I also do, some other online stuff, and more Quitlet than any person should be able to, like.
Hey, there you go.
I keep people in business. It's not just Quitlet. There's some science in there. There's some books on mindfulness that are like, just the science helped. It gave me, before I knew that there were people on Zoom calls and, talking with strangers across, across the country, in different countries and everything. I sought out I went to the way that I know how to do things. And that was, I tell a couple of people, I have some built-in accountability, not people who are checking on me every day, but that I've now told them that I'm going to do this. And I don't want to not do that. And then it was science. It was, measured steps and understanding how do I win this war? And Atomic Habits was one of the books that I picked up. And, I keep a Post-it note on my desk that it just says tiny battles win the war. And it's there every single day. It's taped to my desk to see. I've got a whole door full of, sayings and things that I was reading that came across over the last few years that are like, they're just my motivational things now. And then I found people, and I realized that it was okay if I lost those 90%. Because little by little, this new community that I was learning about and developing was starting to fill in those blanks. And I also realized that I kind of didn't need like a majority of the people that I was hanging out with, because they were really only there to facilitate the drinking. Yeah. We were just the party buddies,
That's the, like you said, you don't care about telling your story or being, out there. I'm the same way. I'm not going to put it on the blimp and advertise, with an arrow that says flashing neon sign pointing alcoholic, pointing down at me as I drive around. But at the same time, I'm not going to run from it, deny it, because it's talking with people. If I can help someone, trust me, that helps me a lot more than I think I'm doing any good for someone else. But it was just the not wanting to fail that you said. Or let people down. I'm sure people got sick of me talking about my 1 year in the Super Bowl weekend last weekend, but that was how I ensured that the thought of drinking and having to come back on or have Tom go, yeah, Jeff is no longer, he's moved. He's no longer doing the show, and he's we don't know where he is. He left. That was enough. That was great insurance for me.
Well, I love that you said the neon side, that you don't feel the need to do that. And I would like to just remind all of us that I would bet that 99.5% of us actually were our own walking neon signs. We just thought we were hiding it well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we were blinking lights all over the place and being like, hello. Yeah. I know I was, for sure. And I know that a lot of the people that I've met in this journey, we were content letting chaos be our tour guide, and it showed.
And I'll tell you what, the effort that I did put in of hiding it, exhausting.
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah.
just cover what did I say? Did I say this? Did I, that whole sleuth, being a detective the next morning to find out, try to get hints from whoever of what happened, who won the game, what did I say, what does this message mean, why do I have that stain on my shirt, whatever. And then the work involved just for me to think I was getting away with drinking was brutal, know? And the damn we got that ring bell thing on our doorbell, so if someone comes up you can see who it is. That damn thing, I supported my wife in getting it, and that thing got me in more trouble because I sneaking a 6-pack or a 12-pack in my work backpack and just hearing my wife's voice. What are you doing? Why you're walking very suspiciously. Why don't you go ahead and open up your backpack right now and let's just cut the it was awful. Yeah. I hated it. So
I love that. I love that is from one Elizabeth to another Elizabeth. That's next level. That's pro level. I love it.
Oh, she's good. Well, either that or I'm just pathetically.
It's probably a little bit both.
It's both. I can walk in and just say, "Hi, honey," and she'll say, "Oh my God, I can't believe you." She'll know where I was. Well, it's over. I have no ability to lie with her. But the other thing I wanted to hit, Tom and I were talking. Tom Mabe, and I don't know how much you've seen of him, but he's a comedian. He's not very good. He's actually, it's hear that silence. Yeah, he hears that a lot on his acts. But anyways, we were talking. We get some grief sometimes on this show about making light of stuff and some of the stories and I wanted to hear, because you mentioned something, but here where I struggle with that, because I have cried enough over my drinking. Yeah. I have hurt people. I've disappointed people. I've screwed a ton of things up. I've cried enough of it. I'm working my butt off to fix it. And I'm progressing. I'm going in the direction I want. I want to, if I can repair myself and repair others that I hurt and fix things, I'd rather do it with a smile on my face and laughing about things than continuing to cry. I don't want to be on sober, down and out, pity party, life sucks, negative because of what has happened. I don't mind laughing about some of my if I was still doing them today, I probably wouldn't be laughing about them. It wouldn't be funny. My wife busting me with the Ring doorbell deal. That's a funny story to be now. It wasn't funny at the time, and it wouldn't be funny if it was still happening tonight. But those are, I'm moving on. So
yeah, I mean, I think there's a fine line. I think that there's sensitivity. Like I have yet to find the place where I can make light of the actual committing of the DUI and the getting arrested part. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm a suburban single mom who was in, I don't know if you know what Tent City is out in Arizona, but
I think I know, but go ahead and tell
it's about what you think it is.
They don't have the internet. They don't know what that is.
It's basically an overflow for nonviolent people, overflow. And it was basically how Sheriff Joe Arpaio was controlling prison costs. And they were basically military grade tents and cots out in the middle of the Arizona desert. And
where they wore pink?
Yeah.
I do remember. Okay. Yeah. I do remember that.
And so, I look at me, imagine, the Lexus driving single mom who then is out at Tent City. It's funny. I can't help it. I completely crack up on the fact that I figured out how to live on tunas and honey, like tuna packets and honey buns for, 4 weekends in a row.
Honey bun is good. Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. But the act that got me there, no, I mean, I don't think I could ever probably get to a place to be laughing about that. But I think especially in the position that you're in, and anybody who's in a position that's wanting to be, wanting to act as a resource and is actively pursuing ways to connect with people, that humor, it's obviously totally cliche thing to say that humor is the best medicine, laughter is the best medicine, but it certainly makes people relatable. And if you can relate to people, then you can connect with them. And if you can connect with people, then they start seeing that they don't have to stay connected to the thing that they know that isn't doing well for them.
So what do you mean relate to people? What do you?
I think that when people are able to, to me, there's no faster way to connect with a person than to be able to share a joke, to share a laugh. The minute that you have an inside joke with a person, that it's all over. Like you've started making these new, even I would dare say that scientifically speaking, you've already started creating a new set of wires, a new support system in your head. Like, oh, I really enjoyed talking to that person. I'm going to talk to them again. If the person you're talking to is a sober person who's got stories of their own situation, but that is not this down and out, always, with the worst case scenarios, conversations about stuff, you end up building this friendship with them. And it's not, yes, there is sobriety as a backbone to it, but that's not it. And when you have those connections, you're more likely to stay going through maybe something that's difficult, like getting sober and staying sober.
I know that, even like my doctor, I didn't tell him any of my, I lied to him about everything as far as how much I drank, whatever. Someone that's on this show or in the groups I've been in or my AA, background, which is where I came from. Those people, I can meet them. And within a minute, I'll tell them anything because I feel comfortable. I feel safe. I feel that they understand. I'm not the, oh my God, listen to that loser. What is your, you're not, this is for mild alcoholics. You have a problem. You're go somewhere else. We don't want your kind around here. But that's how I felt I was judged or would be judged.
Exactly. And so if you can break that down, I joke with a couple of my friends, as we're the tri-state bitches for life. And I know I have a camaraderie there that is not just about us getting and staying sober or being able, when other grief comes my way, this raft of bitches is going to, that's, an reference to otters. By the way, otters hold hands as they float. They create a raft to carry their buddies around. It's just,
there's about 27 of us that are going to be YouTubing as soon as we get off of this show tonight going.
I know. Well, actually, Christy Coulter actually mentioned in her book, she had an otter sobriety project. So I thought it was it's a really funny, accidental way that those two things run into each other, stories about otters. But that would be critical. I could keep just going to meetings if I hadn't connected with somebody and didn't have inside jokes and being able to make fun of you behind your back and things like that. What would we have? What would we do?
Right.
And I'm grateful. It's a grateful connection because it's more than just talking about staying sober. I mean, we have a group text that is completely, we all know that we could talk about it if we needed to, but it's because we have that we're not feeling the need to. We don't have to go and check out. We can go and check in with each other instead, and share ridiculous things like, God, do you remember that one time that I did this, or I went on that date with this guy? And it's like, they're hilarious things. They're
those stories. What I get out of this thing, when I started this whole journey, my goal was to quit drinking beer because that was it. That was the problem. That was all that what's your problem? I drink way too much beer. And if I can quit drinking beer, that would be fantastic. The fact that I don't drink beer is great. Don't get me wrong. It's but what I've gotten because of that, and what the camaraderie and the friendships and, you know, everything else, the people I've met, that what I was really looking for is insignificant compared to what I got. I mean, it's still huge. The fact that I'm drinking beer is a freaking miracle and the greatest thing in the world. But what I've got on top of that is like, I had no idea I would be.
I can go back to at 14 when I had my first drinks, and, you know, and for a teenager escalated. It wasn't, you know, heinous because I had pretty strict parents and I didn't get to go out to parties and stuff like that. But when I did, I lived it up. But I was a transplant. I had lived in Oklahoma and Oregon, and I got dropped in Texas 2 weeks into my freshman year in high school, and I didn't know a single human being. And I was miserable. I hated that I'd been taken from my home. I mean, like, all the things were really upsetting to me. And looking back at it now, you know, at the time I didn't know how to articulate that, but I was lonely and, you know, filled with anger and grief and all kinds of things that I didn't know how to process. I didn't have the emotional capacity to do. And then alcohol was there and was like, don't worry, you don't have to think about it anymore. Yeah. And that worked until it didn't work, obviously.
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, look, I've got someone that I got some good little inspiration I want to get to Brent here, who's on, but I'm gonna let you go. But thank you so much, and please do come back. Love to have you anytime, and great stuff. Fantastic.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You take care, and we'll talk to you soon. And I think it's coming up on that, so it's 8 o'clock your time right now. Just so you know, it's a little confusing. All right, hey, we'll see you, Elizabeth. Have a great evening. Thanks. Brent, dude.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing? Good.
I just got home.
So I heard from you when I was going out to get my wife at the airport yesterday. Yeah. You are now you're at, what's your day count today? You're at what?
I'm at 34 days.
34. Congratulations. So you mentioned this. I said, hold the thought, because we both had a big weekend with the Super Bowl. I think we both came out with smiles on our face. I didn't have to look at the guy I saw in the mirror last year. He wasn't there, thankfully, this yesterday morning when I woke up, which was so nice to not have to see him, smell him, try not to make eye contact with him in the mirror. So I think you're on the same boat, but you said you had a little bit of a rough evening, but you got through it. How'd you do it? And tell us.
Well, basically, what happened was we're at the Super Bowl. It's a little social gathering. Obviously, with Super Bowl and any sporting event or pretty much any party that you're ever going to go to, there's always going to be alcohol around. And I could smell it all. It was very exhilarating.
You can smell the beer and
you can smell the beer. You can smell the beer, the alcohol, the liquor, the tequila, Jaeger. It was very tempting. I was there's points where I was trying to be a little bit coy and sarcastic about it. Like my fiance coming up to me, he's like, "Hey, do you want to drink anything?" I'm like, "Yeah, shot of tequila." And then she'll just look at me and just be like, "Oh, you're not really right." Obviously, because I'm also selfish. I like to be held accountable.
Did she know? Is she support? She knows what's going on with your journey right now, and I mean, it's a little bit of a light. Was she like? Because when I was early with my wife, when we'd start going out to certain things, I would say, "Hey, yeah, I'll go tonight, but I reserve the right to get the hell out of here if I need." And she was great, understood. But it was also having her as for accountability was key for me, that strength.
Absolutely. She's a huge supporter of all of that. And she agreed with me at that point. I let her know before we went there that, I don't necessarily have to stay for the whole thing. But, I ended up doing that anyways, probably about 5 minutes before the game ended. We left to beat traffic. But one thing I remember was, just the fact that I live in Tampa Bay, where the game is happening. I live literally 3 blocks from the stadium, or maybe like a mile from the stadium, and I've seen nothing. I'm about 10 miles away. I see nothing but cops pulling over everybody left and right on every single street corner I pass. So I know going in, first thing I do is I get behind the wheel. I put my seatbelt on, as you mentioned before, as a nice analogy, because that's my insurance. Put my seatbelt on, even though I know that I'm going to get home just fine because I decided to stay sober. Even though there was temptation in the beginning You know, I knew it was all well worth it. Just the fact that I can take me and my fiance home safely. I seen,
It's a great feeling. So did you have any other tools, or was it just white knuckling to get through the evening, or did you find that it was not as bad as you feared?
yeah, I think just being surrounded by friends who are all supportive of me, you know,
Just
being
everyone
sober.
already knew that you were going through this journey.
Absolutely. You know, everybody knows, and I'm being held accountable, and I'm also they're being a very understanding. You know, so being surrounded by friends and, you know, the place I have, you know, they serve fruits, they had nachos and some soda, you know, just kind of keep the caffeine levels up so that way, you know, I'm A-okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of just gets rid of that thought of, you know, wow, you know, I could go for a drink right now, but, you know, I have a
It's a good
soda here,
thing I
so I'm good to go.
didn't want to drink that night, because with the amount of food that my son and my daughter, because we were over at her house, and
Mhm.
with the wings and the dips and the homemade pizza and all that stuff, it's a good thing, because I don't think there was any room for any alcohol to be dumped in, because I
Absolutely.
was miserable. I overate so much, but it was so good. It's one of those where I'm not even hungry anymore, but I don't want to miss out on not eating this, so I kept going.
Yeah, absolutely. And then like literally 2 days after the Super Bowl, you know, I started thinking about it. You know, I seen all the cops pulling everybody over left and right, and you know, and I was like, man, these people are very serious about what's going on. So then, like, to take it up another notch, something completely unrelated but relevant. You know, I decided that I wanted to because I have a friend who works in the station, but I'm actually I decided I wanted to apply as a deputy trainee in my county sheriff's department.
Fantastic.
And, you know, I think, you know, because although I'm the sober one now, it would be also helpful to change someone else's life for a
Yeah.
change as well,
Well,
you know,
you
in the
look at
future.
you said those, the police cars lined up. There's a lot of people right now, not just down in Tampa, that are
Mhm.
sitting right now, total regret, and their lives are screwed.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
Jobs are lost, relationships are lost. Sadly, lives are lost. I mean, we talked about that one, the Chiefs assistant coach,
Mhm.
Andy Reid's son. Um, I haven't heard how that little girl's doing, but you know, she was in a medically induced coma. I mean, with
Wow.
it just beyond tragic. But even on the lesser, just with DUIs or whatever, there are people right now that are saying, okay, was that buzz worth what I'm dealing with right now, and I'm going to
Mm.
deal with and have on my record and all the other things, and even, you know, a DUI is livable. You know, a lost relationship is that's you know, we can survive a DUI. Those things are a ticket, whatever, but this stuff will just rob you blind. It
It
doesn't
will.
care, and it will do whatever it can and has to take you down to get more. So
Yeah, it's a shame. You know, it happens every day. And I was passing all those pulled over cars, and I'm just thinking to myself, man, that is going to suck for you.
and to quote, you're too young to know this, but this is just because my soundboard, you won't even know what this is, but my advice to you comes from anyone that's old. You'll know this comes from Dean Warmer from Animal House. But my advice to you or anyone that's thinking about drinking at your age.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
There you go.
Absolutely.
From the movie Animal House. That's one of my favorite. But man, that's great. I'm so glad you made it. You got through. Were there any tools that you used that night? Anything besides having your fiance, telling people ahead of time? Is there anything else that you did?
Um, just the motivation to get home safely. You know, that's pretty much the biggest thing. And plus, you know, with how far I've gotten, even though it's only been about 34 days, which is a big deal,
It is
you
a big
know,
deal. It's huge.
I was just past the 31-day mark on that day. So obviously, you know, I didn't want to cave then, and I don't want to cave now. I'm just too stubborn to quit.
That's just fantastic, and it's only going to get better. And just keep learning. Don't rest on. You know, I don't know how much of the, I know you were driving home tonight, but if you want to watch the broadcast, the tape replay of this,
Mhm.
the two people I had on before, man, you talk about some knowledge and some tools. And that's the kind of stuff I have to keep dumping that stuff in my toolbox nonstop, because what I put in last week somehow it evaporates or someone steals it. So I got to keep dumping new tools into that thing. And it's a fun journey, but you're doing it great, man. Just stay with us, and make sure, most importantly, high five yourself, for that night,
Right.
That's just fantastic. All right. Well, look, we'll stay in touch with you, Brent. Good luck with the career. Keep us up on that. And definitely want to check back with you, because you know what? I know this sounds corny, but your journey is our journey. I guarantee everyone that's watching this thing is rooting for you, rooting for all of us. I mean, we're all on the journey and we got to stick together. So this isn't, this is you're a perfect. This is not doing it alone. We do this with a group. We celebrate together. We deal with struggles together. We learn together. This is our journey. So we're all on day 34 on the Brent train right now. So that's fantastic, dude. All right, buddy. Have a good one. And we will talk to you soon. So,
all right. Appreciate it.
And we will be, Tom's back tomorrow. He's decided, because of the weather, to stay down in Hilton Head a little longer. I'll be back on Thursday, and then we do the Saturday morning. What do we call it? I don't even remember. Saturday morning sunrise celebration, sobriety celebration, something. But Saturday morning, 8 o'clock Eastern. That would be 7 o'clock in Texas for you Central Standard timers. But love to have anyone there. So I'll be back on Thursday. Tom's here Wednesday, and then he'll be back again Friday. So everyone have a great rest of the week. Stay strong. And chat, Facebook, Sober Talk group page. Let's keep it rolling and stay together. See you guys. Bruce, thank you. Kathleen, thank you. I didn't get to a lot of the chat stuff, but man, those guests were unbelievable. Annette, Annette says, "Oh my, I remember acting like I knew what my husband was talking about the next day." Wow, that's a strange concept. I never pulled that one. Pathetically failing with my wife. God. Carl, always good to hear from you. Bruce, good stuff, guys. Jason, we got to check in with you. I know you're rocking and rolling. Hopefully your numbers are climbing. But and don't forget the Cincy Sober Cell. We want to hear your successes, your struggles, all of that. You can get those numbers off the resource page, but the Cincy Sober Cells, 513-313-6676. That is a text, 513-313-6676. Leave your name, number, and email, whatever. I'd love to get you on the show, because we got to keep this together. Everyone have a great night. We'll see you.